A haunted royal box, one of the world's most famous theatres, and two people that apparently still roam the stalls once the lights have gone down. As ever, let me explain. Morning, nice to see you, chums. Thank you so much for joining me today, and welcome one and all. Nice to have your company. As many of you know, I am a thespian, yes. Well, it's always good to share this thing, isn't it? But I literally started and still remain, and I would like to say, a performer. That's the thing. I enjoy that side of the work as well. And when you first start out in this game of show business, the pinnacle of where you really want to appear is none other than the sort of famous things, really. Broadway, definitely, because it's the sort of place that you think, if I've made it on Broadway, I've made it anywhere. And I was lucky enough to appear on Broadway as Billy Flynn, right? So again, interesting stuff. For me, it was just a pinnacle thing to say, I did it, Now, what was interesting about this particular story is another area where many performers want to appear is the world famous London Palladium. Now, it's hard to imagine just why this particular theatre is so, I don't know really why we all want to go there. But I was lucky enough very early on in my career, as you can see from these pictures, to appear on that stage and to take a bow at the Royal Box. The most terrifying thing ever. If you need anything to get anything going, your heart rate or whatever, you just stand in the wings of the London Palladium, because you're standing there and there's a full-length mirror there used to be at least, and you can check your appearance before you go on. And there's all the techies and the soundies and everything, but nobody can help you when you walk to the center of that stage. When the orchestra leader strikes that baton up, you are on your own. There is nobody. It's not like this where you can stop it and redo it, and you're just standing alone in a spotlight, and your nerves are horrendous. And it doesn't get any easier. I've appeared on it a number of times now. It doesn't get any easier. The thing that you do notice about that is, when you're standing there, is just all of the greats that have stood there. And this is in your mind of what you can remember. But, the brilliant comedian Max Miller, Sophie Tucker, Eddie Fisher, all of them, Abbott and Costello, everybody has had to stand on that spot. And you think, goodness, Judy Garland had to be pushed on apparently because she was so nervous. Mickey Rooney died a death there and lasted 2 weeks. He was booked a month, and then he was replaced by Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin, and basically they took the world by storm. There were other big names, as I've mentioned recently, like Danny Kaye. Seemingly didn't have to try too hard, but was so incredibly popular. Even he was nervous, they had to push him on. But behind the scenes, what's always fascinating is when you're in a theatre, the minute the lights go off and the crowds go home and it's just you and the house lights, it takes on an eerie disposition, let me tell you. And I've walked around many theatres like that, and you do come away thinking, what's gone on in here before? Now, what's fascinating, if you don't know this, is there are a couple of people of their ashes buried under the London Palladium stage. Sadly, the famous revolve, that they used to have for the Sunday night at the London Palladium, that doesn't work, I don't think, at this moment in time. But in the bricks underneath the stage of the London Palladium are two people that I knew well. Well, I say knew well, but, worked with them in the show business world. The first one is none other than the celebrated performer, Sir Bruce Forsyth. Made his big name in the 50s there as the host of Sunday night at the London Palladium. He introduced all the big names, the likes of Nat King Cole, you name it. Everybody wanted to appear on that show. On top of all of that, another person that you may not have heard of is a super agent of that particular era called Billy Marsh. And Billy Marsh was one of these people that could spot talent. But Billy wasn't your sort of normal agent, He was unassuming, friendly, kind, always covered in cigarette ash. And as Michael Grade told me, a great pal of mine, who of course is linked to the Grade organisation, Lou Grade, Bernie Delfont, all of the wonderful people of that show business era. He said Billy just knew whether somebody would work or not, and he would give them time to develop. He said, maybe not now, but in 2 years, 5 years, they're going to be big. And he was always right. He and Bruce Forsyth are buried under the stage. Their ashes are under the stage with a little plaque I think it's a very nice thing to do because the Palladium meant so much to those two people. Apparently though, yes, Bruce Forsyth has been seen, spirit-wise, wandering around there late at night, and people have heard his voice, didn't he do well, nice to see you, all of that sort of stuff. Now, of course, you might think this is quite a good ruse by that particular company who currently own the London Palladium, that is Andrew Lloyd Webber, etc. What I would say is I wouldn't be too surprised about that. You can go on a theatre tour at the Palladium, and it is an incredible thing to go on because you get to see under the stage and you get to be on the stage and you think, wow, they've all looked at this, right? And I can testify, as I say, how nerve-wracking looking at a full house on your own. What did I think? I want my mum, right? Because you're so nervous. But the thing is, when you think about it, why wouldn't there be spirits still wandering around the Great Hall and one of the most famous theatres in the world? And not only that, according to a very well-placed source, one of the most haunted areas in the London Palladium is the Royal Box. And that's the box that everybody turns to, obviously, when it's a royal variety performance. And apparently there's been strange sightings and eerie feelings in the Royal Box. They don't know if this is a royal or indeed a performer or also a former worker. But either way, it makes for a chilling night at the theatre. Anybody else agree? Neil Sean in the very heart of Kensington.